Hello students and welcome back to our class. It's been a while since we had our regular class, so ngayon balik na tayo sa regular programming. In this video, we will discuss Lesson 2 of Chapter 2, Sexual Self. So this is probably the longest lesson na i-discuss natin and will be divided into 7 parts. Later, isa-isahin natin yun. Siyempre, bago tayo magsimula, alam nyo na yung drill. Let's start with our lesson objectives. First, we want to explain the development of sex characteristics and human reproductive system. Second, describe the erogenous zones and understand human sexual response. Third is to understand attraction, love, and attachment. Fourth is to explain gender, sex, gender orientation, and sexual orientation. Next, identify the causes and consequences of sexually transmitted infections and early pregnancy. And lastly, to reflect on the importance of contraception and the reproductive health law. So, table of contents. Sabi ko nga kanina, we will have 7 topics under Lesson 2 of Chapter 1, Sexual Self. Una, we will talk about the physical development. Ano yung mga changes that you can observe or you will observe as you grow older or as you sexually mature yung body nyo. What turns people on? Dito nagkakagulo ang mga estudyante. Yung iba, mga nagpapanggap na ayaw magsalita, nagpapanggap na walang alam, okay? O kaya ayaw mag-participate pero pangiti-ngiti. Things like that. Next, sexual orientation and gender identity. And then we have triangular theory of love. Okay, probably one of my most favorite topic to discuss. We'll have marriage and family, responsible parenthood, and lastly, we'll have sexually transmitted diseases. So, bago tayo mag-proceed with our discussion, I just want to make something clear. Okay? I want to make it clear that when approaching this topic on the sexual self, it should not just be a biological process, but as a preparation to entering into and sustain an intimate, happy, and long-time relationship in the future. Bakit ko to sinasabi? Ang focus natin sa sexual self is not just about the biological aspect of it. Okay, ito yung changes sa body mo, ito yung nag-cause ng changes sa body mo, ito yung possible effect. Hindi lang biological yung concern natin dito. Pero, I want you to be prepared, if not now, in the future, to have a long-lasting relationship, a mature relationship, and you know kung paano siya i-sustain, paano ma-maintain. Okay? How to, ano ba yung right term? How to maintain, actually yun din, maintain that love. Okay, paano makukuha? Paano ma-maintain? Okay? So, let's start with our first topic under this lesson. The physical development. So, ito yung medyo biological side. Okay, simulan natin muna sa biological part of our discussion. Okay, the beginning of adolescence is marked by rapid physical changes. So, pag pumunta na tayo dun sa adolescent stage, marami ng changes na nagbabago. Marami ng changes na nangyayari. Particularly sa katawan natin. Ano yung mga changes na yon? Una, meron tayong maturation of the reproductive system. At pangalawa, development of different sex characteristics. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, it marks the time kung kailan ready na yung body natin, maturation of reproductive system, ready na yung body natin to bear a child, o kaya to procreate for reproduction. Okay? Sex characteristics. Ano ba yun? When we say sex characteristics, meron tayong natawag, ba't nauna yung wine? Meron tayong natawag na primary sex characteristic and secondary sex characteristics. Ano yung pinagkaiba nila? First, primary sex characteristics. Anong meron? It's the physical characteristics that are present at birth. Nung pinanganak ka, meron ka na nito. Okay? So, sa mga babae, these characteristics include the vagina, the uterus, and the ovaries. Okay, nung panganak ka, meron ka na nun. Okay, unless nagpa-sex change ka. Pero we're talking about the natural way of the body. So, primary sex characteristics are physical characteristics na meron ka na since birth. On the other hand, sa mga lalaki, primary sex characteristics include the penis, the testes, the testicles, scrotum, and prostate gland. So, ilan lang yon. Basically, when we say primary sex characteristics, nandyan na yan. On the other hand, meron tayong secondary sex characteristics. Ano yung meron sa kanila? Ayan, may clue na kayo kaagad. Okay. Secondary sex characteristics develop during the onset of puberty. So, nung nag-start ka sa puberty stage, nagkaroon ng changes sa body mo. At magkakaiba yon sa male at female. Okay. Sa babae, earliest evidence of puberty are enlargement of the breast. Diba? Dati, naloloko ka kasi wala kang boobs. O kaya minsan, actually, nung bata tayo, yun naman tayo nagbabra before, diba? Tapos gagamit na tayo ng tatawag nilang bralette. Okay, until magbra. Kasi nga, nag-start nang lumaki yung boobs natin. Nagkakaroon ng enlargement of the breast. Though merong mga naiiwan, may mga naiiwan na parang hindi na ganong lumaki, pero may changes pa din. Okay. Menstrual cycle. Kailan kayo nag-start magkaroon ng period nyo? I remember I was in grade 6. I don't recall kung ilang taon ako. Pero I was in grade 6 nung first kong magkaroon ng period. Okay. Widening of the hips. Lumalaki ang balakang. Pati ang puwet. And another example, another part of it is nag-grow tayo ng pubic hair. Or hair down under. Okay? So, yun yung secondary sex characteristics for female. Punta naman tayo syempre sa male. Sa male, ano yung changes na nangyayari? Testicular growth, sperm production, nagkakaroon ng facial hair. Okay? Nagkakaroon ng balbas, bigote. Okay? Other body hair. Malalim din yung boses. At dahil may changes sa boses, may mga times kung kailan pumipiyo. Okay? Some of the first signs of puberty in men. Diba? Facial hair. They change everything daw. Okay? We have hormones. If we will be talking about changes in our body during the puberty stage, we have to familiarize ourselves with hormones. Ano ba yung hormones? These are natural substances that is produced in the body. Ito yung nakaka-impluensya the way the body grows or develops. There are different types of hormones. We have testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. Marami pang types of hormones, pero in terms of sex characteristics, physical changes related to the reproductive system, ito yung primary hormones that are involved. So hormones, during puberty, yung testosterone and other androgens stimulate the development of primary and secondary sex characteristics and also increase the sex drive. Ito yung sinasabi ko a while ago. During our puberty, itong mga hormones na to, yung main responsible, bakit nagkakaroon tayo ng changes in our body? Bakit tayo nagkakaroon ng period? Bakit tayo nagkakaroon ng facial hair? O kaya pubic hair? O kaya lumalagong yung boses? Okay, it's because of the hormones. The level of testosterone production is fairly constant. So, sa babae, ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone as well as small amount of testosterone. Estrogen promotes female reproductive capacity and secondary sex characteristics. Correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, there are what's the right term? Gays, okay, transgender. Usually, nagtitake sila ng pills, hormones, that usually have estrogen para magkaroon sila ng changes sa body. So, may makakita kang gays na mas malaki pa yung boobs sa'yo without surgery. It's because of their intake of hormones. Okay? The production of female sex hormones follows a cyclical pattern on approximately 28-day monthly cycle. So, yung period natin is actually normally 28 to 32 days. Yun yung normal cycle. Okay, na monthly cycle of our period. Greatest production occurs during ovulation period when an egg is released from the ovary. During those times, mas tumataas yung production natin ng hormones. So, the ovaries produce, store, and release egg cells during ovulation. This part, actually, review na lang to. So, hindi tayo masyado magdadwell on this. Ovulation period can occur 14 days after the beginning of the menstrual period. So, I also want to discuss, this is not included in your module, but I also want to discuss about polycystic ovarian syndrome or PCOS. Most probably you've heard about this before already, okay? But I also want to talk about this. Ano ang meron sa PCOS? This is a hormonal disorder common among women of reproductive age. So, women with PCOS may have infrequent or prolonged menstrual periods or excess male hormones or androgen levels. So, there are women actually na hindi regular ang period. Sometimes, every 2 months, every 3 months, or very irregular. I have a friend actually na 14 months siyang hindi nagkaroon ng period niya. And it's like our body is telling something sa atin. Okay, so if you experience that, it would be best if magko-consult kayo with an OB-GYN. Ako, I already consulted with one before. Kasi very irregular yung period ko. Parang 4 or 5 months na ako hindi nagkakaroon ng period noon. And, I remember, nag-provide siya sa akin ng pills, hormones, para maging regular yung period. Okay, pero ano ba yung meron with PCOS? So, as you can see dun sa picture, a healthy ovary, okay, ovaries may develop numerous small collections of fluid or follicles and fail to regularly release eggs. That's the reason why hindi tayo regular na nakakaroon ng period. So, kita natin yung differences between healthy ovary and polycystic ovary. Sa polycystic ovary, may makikita tayo ng mga collections of fluid or yung tinatawag natin na follicles. Okay. Ano yung 8 symptoms of PCOS? Una, irregular or missed periods. Okay, yun yung nabanggit ko na nung una. Next, excessive body hair or body hair growth. So, mapansin mo yung facial hair, meron kang facial hair, o kaya ako, ito, observe ko sa sarili ko, meron akong bigote, sabi ko sa bigote, okay, or marami kang yung body hair mo talaga ay above normal, kumbaga. Acne. Yung pagkakaroon din ng acne is a sign or symptom of PCOS, of having PCOS. Okay? Bakit? Acne is a medical term for pimples. PCOS causes your pores to get clogged with dead skin and oil, and bacteria build up. Then the skin gets inflamed and can turn red or swell. Kaya nagkukos ang PCOS ng acne or pimples. Male pattern baldness or thinning hair. Okay. Medyo contradicting kung isipin mo. Sabi daw may excessive hair growth. Tapos may male pattern baldness. Kasi sa male pattern baldness, ibig sabihin yung yung buhok mo, this part, nanlulugo siya, nanlalagas. Okay. Pero yung other body parts mo, may excessive hair growth ka. Okay, yun yung difference. Mood changes, also known as mood swings. Rapid changes in mood caused by PCOS. Ngayon, okay ka, masaya ka, sunod, biglang parang malungkot ka. Tense, anxious, mabilis magbago yung mood mo. Bakit? Because when we say PCOS, may mga hormonal imbalance. Okay? At because you have hormonal imbalance, it actually affects your emotions, your mood. Okay? Isa pang problema with PCOS is that you will have a hard time na mabuntis. Kasi nga may hormonal imbalance. Kasi hindi rin regular na nakapag-produce ng eggs yung ovary mo. So, isa sa mga problema is infertility or having a hard time to conceive a baby. So, kung gusto mong mabuntis at you observe some of the symptoms, ngayon pa lang, as early as now, dahil bata pa kayo, better na magpa-check up. Fatigue or excessive sleepiness. Okay? Mahirap siyang i-describe. Actually, you feel exhausted, you feel tired all the time. Lower sex drive. Because of this hormonal imbalance, parang you're not interested in having sex. So again, these are some of the symptoms of PCOS. But, gusto ko lang linawin, don't, self-diagnose. Okay? Ay, lahat meron ako, may PCOS ako. Don't do that. Ang point lang natin dito is for you to observe this, parang medyo meron, or parang nakaka 7 out of 8 ata ako doon, so you could go to the doctor to get diagnosed. Hindi to way para i-diagnose ang sarili, okay? So, reproductive system. I-run through lang natin to. So, female reproductive system, meron kang ovaries, fallopian tube, the uterus, vagina, the clitoris. Okay, so yun yung sum. Marami pa dyan, makikita naman natin sa picture. So, when we say reproductive system, ba't nahuli yun? Reproductive system, it's a system of sex organs designed for reproduction or sexual function. So, we have the cervix, okay, the vagina, the ovary. Another perspective lang for the reproductive system. Okay. Muna naman tayo sa male reproductive system. We have the penis, the testes, the prostate gland, the seminal vesicle, the vas deferens, the scrotum, and epididymis. Okay, another view. Okay, so our next topic is what turns people on. We will be talking about the different phases of sexual response. Okay. Pero bago natin i-end yung discussion natin for our first topic of sexual self, may gusto lang pala, before ko malimutan, may gusto lang ako share na story. Because it is important that we get comfortable, okay, saying our different parts of our reproductive system. I've read this story kung saan yung bata, tinuruan ng nanay na ang tawag sa vagina niya is cookie. Okay? Ngayon, yung estudyante, bata pa, siguro nasa kindergarten, okay, grade 1. Ngayon, yung estudyante, nagsabi sa teacher that my uncle is eating my cookie. Ngayon, the teacher doesn't understand. Kala niya, kinuha lang talaga ng uncle yung cookie, yung pagkain. Okay. And lagi nung sinasabi ng bata, but the teacher didn't really understand. Until one time, during PTA, sinabihan ng teacher, nag-comment yung teacher sa nanay na her uncle must be really interested in cookie or something like that. Mahilig sa cookie. And biglang na-realize ng magulang na there is something wrong. Kasi alam niya na sinabi niya na cookie for vagina. So why is it important that we get comfortable saying penis or vagina? Hindi naman talaga yung mali eh. Ewan ko kung bakit nagkaroon ng different meanings. So let's get comfortable. Actually, even sa Tagalog version, let's be honest, it can get kind of awkward when we say those words. So it is important that we get comfortable saying the correct terms for different parts of our body, particularly our reproductive or parts of the reproductive system. Okay? So that's the end of our discussion. If you have questions, you know what to do. Thank you for listening and thank you for your time. Bye, class.